Alright, welcome back to WMMA Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, coming at you with a fight announcement out of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. So two-division champion Amanda the Lioness Nunes is set to defend her featherweight title against Megan Anderson. This is per ESPN's Brett Okamoto. It's going to go down at UFC 256 on December the 12th, most likely in Las Vegas, Nevada. Looking at the stats here, courtesy of Tapology.com. Got Nunes coming in 20-4. Anderson coming in at 10-4. Nunes, well, she hasn't lost since, I believe the Kat Zingano was her last loss. In her last 5 fights, she has defeated Raquel Pennington at bantamweight, Chris Cyborg at featherweight, Holly Holm at bantamweight, Germaine de Randamie at bantamweight, and then Felicia Spencer at featherweight. That was just a little over 2 months ago. Megan Anderson, on the other hand, is riding a 2-fight run, defeating Zerafan dos Santos via triangle choke submission 10 months ago, and then most recently defeating Norma Dumont via TKO 5 months ago. Nunes is slightly older fighter, 32 years to Anderson's 30 years. Anderson's going to have a sizable height advantage, 6 feet even, 183 centimeters, to Nunes' 5 feet 8 inches, 173 centimeters. And Anderson will have a reach advantage as well, 72 inches, 183 centimeters, to Nunes' 69 inches, 175 centimeters. So before I get into the fight itself, I just want to say that, this is most likely going to be the death knell for the women's featherweight division in the UFC, or what is being called the women's featherweight division in the UFC. Obviously, there's only like 4 fighters in it, including the champion, Amanda Nunes, something around 4 fighters. And, it was really always just meant to be the Chris Cyborg Vanity division. That's really all it ever was, and they've kept it alive because of Nunes. Honestly, I predict this defense being the last fight in that division. After this, they can just close it and be done with it because there's no one else left for the champion to face, should Nunes come away the winner. Now, I do see some people complaining about this fight being made because it means that there will be no bantamweight title defense for Nunes this year. Her last bantamweight defense was in December against Germaine de Randamie. So that's 8 months ago. It'll have been a year when this fight goes down. However, I will say this. You have to look at it from a matchmaking perspective. Right now, there is nobody at bantamweight that you could call a clear-cut number 1 contender. There's nobody even close to that right now. You do have Holly Holm set to face Irene Aldana. That could eke out a clear number 1 contender. I believe Juliana Pena and Germaine de Randamie are set to fight. That could easily set up another contender as well. That fight being made? Yeah, that goes down on October 3rd. De Randamie versus Pena. Is that the same night? That's the same night as Holm Aldana. So, you could easily say the winner of either of those fights would be the next contender at bantamweight and then would be ready to face Nunes sometime the next year. Or you could make this a mini 4-person tournament, and the winners of these 2 fights face off against each other sometime early next year or early in the spring. And then the winner faces Nunes sometime in the summer because Nunes, she only tends to fight every 6 months. So that's plenty of time for the UFC to decide on a clear-cut bantamweight contender. So I have no complaints with her defending the featherweight title twice in 1 year, particularly if it does mean that it will shut down the division for good, because I think it's just a waste of time at this point. Anyway, getting down to this fight in itself. I see this going down very similarly to Nunes versus De Randami. However, I think that Nunes will be able to get inside the reach of Anderson a lot easier than she did against GDR. GDR is a prime, like top tier striker, whereas Anderson, she's just not. She was doing good against Holly Holm, but that's not saying much either because Holm isn't that great of a striker, particularly in MMA. She mostly gets by on her size and strength and just being able to stay on the outside, but that didn't work so good against someone who was taller than Holm, bigger than Holm, and stronger than Holm. But Holm did end up taking Anderson down. So, that is one of the reasons I see this fight going a lot like Nunes versus GDR, because I see Nunes getting inside on Anderson and taking her down if Anderson is able to give Nunes trouble on the feet. And that's a big if, because I can easily see Nunes getting inside the length and reach of Megan Anderson to land some big bombs. If she can't do that, then I definitely can see her taking Anderson down, because Anderson's takedown defense is nothing special, nothing to write home about. So I very much see this fight looking like Nunes versus GDR or Nunes versus Spencer. I just don't see Anderson walking away the winner in this fight. She's just not that good of a fighter compared to Nunes, who has beaten a who's who of opponents. So early prediction here, and this could change closer to the fight because it's just early prediction. I mean, it's August, so you got September, October, November. It's like little more than 3 months away. This is just an early prediction here. We're going with Amanda, the Lioness Nunes, to retain, and then go back down to bantamweight, defend that title once she's had enough time to get the weight down. Okay, so those are my early thoughts on this fight. Pretty excited for this one for a couple of reasons that I listed previously. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the fight in the comments down below. If you like the video, please give it a like and share it as well. And hey, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to WMMA Scene Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.